Yeah, hi everyone. So welcome to SK Technologies. So in this tutorial, I am going to explain you about orchestration tool, which is Kubernetes. So very advanced tool and very popular tool. So nowadays in the real-time applications, so most of the people are using this Kubernetes to deploy their application. So far we discussed Docker, how to create the containers, so Docker management, container management, and with help of the Docker image we created the container. So we discussed the image management. So all the scenarios we seen, right? So now with only the Docker deployment, so that is not sufficient to deliver your applications to the clients. So that is the reason we should use this orchestration tool to orchestrate your containers. So in the sense, inside the container only your applications running, right? So finally the conclusion is, so orchestrate your applications which are you are delivering to your end users or clients. So so there are so many advantages. So I will explain so one by one scenarios and how uh, the technology are making advantages for our deployments. So all the things we will see. So mainly, if you are simply deploy our application in the form of containers and making the port mapping and maintaining the volume mapping, so that is not sufficient. Why? Because if suddenly pod I mean container got crashed, then obviously your application will be down, and your end users are won't be accessing your applications, isn't it? So now you have to take care of your running containers, which means the running applications, in case anything happened. So if in case any uh, uh, bug happened to your container or high utilization, so we cannot restrict the users to access your applications, right? So so many applications are, I mean so many users are accessing your application, so we cannot restrict the number of people, right? So suddenly thousands of people accessing your application, so definitely the burden will be on your application, load will be your application. And if you have your application getting more load, so definitely it will be crashing, isn't it? So that scenario what you need to do. Okay, so comparisons without Kubernetes and with Kubernetes we will see. Fine. So for your convenient, let me explain in the MS Paint. Okay, let's assume without Kubernetes. Okay, so let me explain the without Kubernetes, then we will see the with Kubernetes. So this is your Docker server. Okay, so here you have installed the Docker. Okay, on top of your Linux machine, you have installed the Docker. So let me take. So let's assume this is your uh, Linux server. Okay, on top of the Linux, you have installed the Docker. Then you have installed the container. Fine. After that, the container means inside your container only your application is running. Now, end users. Okay, so end users accessing your application. How how they are accessing means with help of the port mapping. This and all everything we discussed, right? So you have to make the port mapping from container port to host port, then they will be accessing your application. Let's assume this is your IP 10.10.2.46. Fine. How they will access your application means they will access your application with help of this http colon slash slash 10.10.2.46, then host port. You can map it with any port, not an issue. Available host port. Fine. So let me take as this host port is 8080 and the container port should be 8080. In case this is based on your exposing in the application, you can go with the default like Jenkins having 8080, Tomcat having 8080, then you can go. Or if you want based on your application custom ports also, developers will ask us to change into the custom, then you can. So While creating the container, you can map it, then end users accessing with this URL. Fine. Now, suddenly something happened. Definitely your pod goes down and your application goes down. Then these people won't access your application, isn't it? So this is the see the issues, the bugs and all we cannot predict, right? So suddenly will be happening. Okay, suddenly will happen, and you have to take care it, right? If nothing implemented as a orchestration tool, then container what it will do? It will simply goes down. When the moment you can go and execute this Docker PS, it won't show. So you have to verify. You have to spend some time why this goes down, and why it happened. So you have to investigate, and meantime you have to go and create one more container, isn't it? One more container, then you have to do the same thing, and they will access. So it may take some time, right? Which means the end users will affect, right? So end users are, so server is goes down, it means container is goes down, end users won't be accessing your application. So definitely business will be impacting, right? So without Kubernetes, without orchestration, okay, these are the scenarios you might facing. So how we can overcome this means with the implementation of the orchestration tool, any one of the orchestration. Okay, Red Hat OpenShift also available. That is the enhancement of the Kubernetes. Okay, so you can definitely you should use any one of the orchestration tool. So to overcome all this scenario. So let me explain one more scenario. The same setup. Let's assume same setup, same server. Okay, so same server. Fine. So your container is created, and inside the container your application is running. Fine. So you have done that port mapping. Okay. Host port, container port, mapped. Fine. Now your end users are accessing. Fine. End users are accessing with the same URL. Okay. So same URL, you can take any one. HTTP colon slash slash 10.10.2.46 colon 8080. Fine. Now the you cannot restrict the people to limited access, right? You cannot restrict people to accessing your application, isn't it? So n number of people there wish, right? So if I ask a question, how many people are accessing the YouTube at that moment means we cannot tell. Thousands, crores of people, lakhs of people are using, isn't it? So even in the same way in real time also, our application we cannot restrict people or only limited users only need to be accessed, like 100 people, 1000 people. We cannot say, right? Say this, right? So let's assume 500, 5000 people are using now. Suddenly it got increased to 10,000. Okay, so suddenly it got increased to 10,000. Then definitely impact on your application, right? So definitely it will be impacting on your performance of the application. Let's assume it increased to 50K suddenly. Then high utilization on your application. Then if your keep on increased, then server may be down, container maybe goes down. Again, it won't be it won't. I mean, end users won't be accessing your application. Again, you have to investigate. Okay, so it may take some time, then definitely it will be impacting on your business. See, this is also one of the reason. If you without orchestration tool, you have to face so many challenges, guys, in your deployment. Even after deployment, when you are providing support to the end users, okay, so only deployment is not sufficient, you have to support it, right? So after deployment, if you are not going with any orchestration tool, you have to face so many challenges. This is one of the challenge. And let me explain one more thing. let me take the same thing. Okay, let me take the same setup. Fine. So here now let's assume your application is running with okay, so your application is running with 1.0.0 version. So definitely people keep on improving the features in the applications, right? Keep on they will developing the application, right? So after some days, after a couple of months, they will release the 2.0.0 version. But your currently your application is running with this one. In this situation, what you need to do, you need to update it, right? Whenever you are updating the things, you have to restart your pod, right? It means after updating the things to reflect the changes, definitely you need to restart your mission, restart your container. It means when you are doing the restart, end users won't be accessing, isn't it? So end users are accessing this application when you are updating with the latest version. At that moment they won't be accessing. So then what you need to do, definitely you have to rise, you have to get the downtime, which means whenever you are performing this activity at that moment, so on so particular time, you have to define this downtime. Then at the downtime period, they won't be accessing your application. Okay, even this downtime also, if you are going with without orchestration, you have to maintain this downtime. But if you implement this orchestration tool, even zero downtime, you can go and update any application with any versions with zero downtime. Okay, so many advantages is there, guys. Not only this, so many there. So you have to orchestrate. Orchestration in the sense your application orchestrate end of the day. On top of the application, containers only, right? So you are going to orchestrate the containers. Fine. So technically, how to implement all this stuff, slowly we will see. Fine. And how this container, how is orchestration tool overcoming all these situations. So we will see one by one. Fine. And intro about Kubernetes, okay, and advantages. So a couple of things I have explained, but if you want more, if you want to know more about the Kubernetes, so I will share the official document link. You can walk through it, guys. Okay, so just click on Kubernetes IO docs. It will come. So kubernetes.io. Fine. Just open this. So this will be giving a lot of information, documentation, so many things, guys. No need to worry. Okay, so many things available. You just walk through this link. I will give this link in the description, or you can simply type kubernetes.io. Fine. Each and everything documented, guys. The thing is, you have to walk through it. Okay, and the installation and all. So compared to other installation, this is little bit tricky, but don't worry. I will explain it step by step, and the requirements also I will show you. So first we will walk through the uh, Kubernetes architecture and components. Thereafter we will see the installation. Okay. So that's it for this video, guys. So we will meet in the next video again. Okay. So thank you, guys.